we had to raise money, borrow money, raise money from family. We were absolutely flat out to raise money to go on that trip. And we did it on an intuition only. Before Heartfulness, that wouldn't have been conceivable.
I was introduced to you by another friend, Claire Gormley, and she suggested I watch a video, a TED Talk that you had given some time back, and in which you spoke about autism, I think, and a different understanding, a different approach to autism. And the TED Talk, of course, touched a chord with many, many people, and it's been shared widely. It's got a lot of views. So how did that come about? I mean, what is the background to that talk?
Gosh, the background to the talk. Well, it all started when my son, who was 2 years old at the time in 2011, he started regressing. He started losing some of the abilities that he had. He lost his ability to talk. He especially lost his wish to connect with us in any way. So he became very, very insular, and we weren't able to reach him at all. And it was autism. It was regressive autism, which we didn't know anything about at the time. But we started to do some research, and we found a clinic actually in the north of Israel called the Mifni Center, very understated place. It deals with autistic children up to the age of 2. There was almost no information about it, but me and my wife, we both had a really strong intuition to go there. And we did go there, and it was a 3-week, very intensive program where we were, basically the whole clinic was working with just one family at a time, so it was extremely expensive as well.
So very personalized.
Very, very personalized, yeah. The whole therapeutic team was watching and observing and working towards the benefit of one family, which was our family at that time. And what they did was, on the surface, they just played with him. But what they were actually doing is that they were using their enormous understanding of autism and their enormous ability to connect with him as an individual child. And they were evoking his ability to trust, to feel that it's okay, that it's safe to be with other people. They were providing him a very safe environment. And most importantly, they were teaching us all of the things that they were doing so that we could do it when we got home. And, so within a day, he was feeding himself, which he hadn't done for probably about a year by that point. By the end of the first week, he was going out with us and looking at us and smiling at us. It's a very basic thing for a child, but we hadn't had that experience with him either for many, many months. And by the time we went home, I'll tell you a little story about what happened. When we were on the way to Israel, we got on the plane. He had a thing about his pushchair. He didn't want to get out of his pushchair. And he was screaming. He had to give it up because it was their policy. We took him into the plane screaming. We almost got thrown off the plane, but fortunately he cried himself to sleep just before takeoff, so we were allowed to stay on. When we came back, it was a completely different picture. He gave up his pushchair freely. He took each of us by the hand and he marched onto the plane smiling. Wow. It was a totally different situation. And in the years that followed, with the work that we were continuing to implement that we'd learnt there, everything changed for him.
And how much do you think the response to, you've had this, Daniel was born, and then the diagnosis and then the treatment. What part has Heartfulness played in this journey?
So, in a lot of ways, it's played a big part. I would not have got to the point of having a son in the first place, but also the way of handling it. It was a traumatic time, but to be able to sort of keep my balance during that time and keep on with that search, and to be able to sort of trust my intuition, that was the same as my wife's intuition actually. To choose a treatment and to actually go for it. It was a really big jump because we had to raise money, borrow money, raise money from family. We were absolutely flat out to raise money to go on that trip. And we did it on an intuition only. Before Heartfulness, that wouldn't have been conceivable. But with Heartfulness, somehow there was that trust and that sort of sense that we've only got intuition. In something like this, you can look and you can research and you can find out all there is to find out about every possible treatment out there. A, you're probably not going to find the right treatment. B, you're not going to be correct in your assessment, because even with my best rationality, my capacity to assess accurately is very limited. All we've got is our intuition, really. And to actually make that jump to think my intuition is more reliable than my reason, which is the only way that we found our path with Daniel, I put that fully down to heartfulness.